Sechta Makos, Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. We're starting from 8 lines from the bottom. Itma. Zakti Yimara Itma. We had learned Ish a Maskenim, a city that doesn't have elders. Rabbi Yamid, Rabbi Yasi, Machlix between Rabbi and Rabbi Yasi. Chadaim. One says Koiletis. The city does protect. Chadaim ain't a Koiletis. And one says the city doesn't protect if they don't have Zikna, if they don't have the elders of the year, B'negei to Ari Miklat, because in the pasuk it says "V'dibi ba'aznei zikna" by the lashon that's written in the pasuk "B'negei to Ari Miklat." It says that it should be said, told over in the ears of the elders of the city. So the Mandi Yamain Kaletis, according to the Mandi Yam, that says that Ari Miklat will not protect. Be'inan, they hold that zikna. You need zikna in order that there should be the din that we should be able to implement of the Reitzeg B'Shgaga to have to go to Ari Miklat, the Leica, and there isn't Ziknei to say it over to. Ziknei means Bezdin. In that city, according to Mandi Amar, that says Kiletis, that even if there's no Miskanim, meaning there's no Bezdin in that city, Mitzvah V'Alma, it's only a Mitzvah L'Chatchila that there should be Skanim. But if there isn't Ziknei still the Mitzvah of Ari Miklat is not withheld, and it's a protection even if there are no zikanim in the city. Another machlik has been again to a city that doesn't have zikanim. Rabbi Yasi, the same machlik is between Rabbi Yasi, that if in the city there was a city there was a rebellious son who has to be judged lamisa in front of a bezdin, but there's no bezdin in that city, so they have to bring him to another city. Do we implement the punishment of Ben Sariyomeda? So one Mandam says, yeah, we do implement the din of Sariyomeda in front of a bezdin in another city. And one says, no, we don't implement the din of Ben Sariyomeda because there's no bezdin in that city. And it says Ziknei Idai, it has to be elders in his city. We need, like it says in the pasuk, that it should take him out to the elders of his city. But like, and there isn't. According to that says that he does become a Ben Sariyomeda even though there's no skenim. He holds it's only a mitzvah alma. It's just a stam mitzvah chatchila. But the mitzvah is not me'akiv the gufa din of Ben Sariyomeda. Another machlek is Rabbi Yasi. In the city where there's no bezdin, we have another machlek between Rabbi Yasi Chadam and Mavi Egla Arufa, that we bring the Egla Arufa, the decapitated calf, we can cut off his head. It's even if there isn't a bezdin in the city that's closest to the mace. The halacha is there was a mace that was found between two cities. The city that's closest has to bring a Egla Arufa. In the city that's closest, if there isn't a bezdin in that city, so we have a machlokes. One man the Alma says that you still bring the Egla Arufa. According to man the Alma that says you don't bring the Egla Arufa. Why? Because it says by Egla Arufa, v'laku zikna here. It says that the elders, the bezdin of that city, should bring the Eglas Abaka, Veleka, and there is no bezdin there. L'man de'ama that Mavi Egla Arufa, nevertheless we do bring Egla Arufa because mitzvah yalma. It's only a mitzvah l'chatchila that it should be brought through the skenim, but it's not be'akiv, and therefore even if there's no skenim, the other people of the city bring the Egla Arufa. Why is it written in a very strong lashon? It says Vayidaber Hashem, which is a lashon az, a strong lashon, and it doesn't say Vayim Hashem like the derech of the Navi is to say in all other places. It says the Gemara. Where do we see that? By Ari Mikla, it's written in a very harsh lashon. Vayidaber Hashem Yeshua Leima. Hashem had spoken to Yeshua saying, "Daber Bnei Yisrael Leimor." Speak to Bnei Yisrael saying, designate for yourself Ari Miklat, which I have spoken to you through Biyad Moshe to Moshe. So the answer is, why has it been spoken the harsh lashon by Yidaber? Because it was Yeshua was commanded to fulfill the mitzvah Menat Torah. But the other place where there was no command, it says Lashon Amida. The whole Lashon Dibur, Lashon Hasa, Lashon Kasha. Should we say every place where it says Lashon Dibur, it's a harsh Lashon? And the Gemara in, yes. Like we find by the brothers of Yosef, that they said to Yaakov their father about Yosef being the ruler over Mitzrayim. They didn't know it was Yosef. Says the word Diber. That Yosef had spoken with us. I mean, the ruler of Mitzrayim had spoken with us. Harsh words. Diber is in the same pasuk as kasher. Is harsh. In fact, really, Diber is harsh. Is a lashon of harsh. In Malachi it says, "Oz nidbru yireh Hashem ishoreyu." Then the God-fearing people spoke one with another, and they ain't lashon nidbru, lashon nachas. Over there, it's the nidbru, which is a lashon dibur, was in a soft way. It wasn't a harsh way. And it says dibur. And also another pasuk that speaks about the last days of Golus. It says Yad B'am Tachtenu, and there the pasuk is saying that they will lead benachas, meaning the last days, everybody will do the will of Hashem with love. The dibur over there implies that it was a lashon nachas, not a lashon harsh. And the Gemara, there's two types of dibur. They come from the same shadish, but it depends how it's said. Dibur l'chut and yad l'chut, meaning daber is a strong lashon, a lashon hazah. Yadber or nidberu, that's a lashon of softness. Zag the Gemara, Smani Rabbanan, Mahamne v'Sefer v'Sifri, Pligi bar Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbanan. There's a machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. Why the Pasha in Sefer Yeshua, which deals with Ari Miklat, was said in a strong lashon Chadam Pnei Shashiyim, because Yeshua took his time after he divided Eretz Yisrael, and he didn't immediately designate Ari Miklat. So Hashem was upset, and he commanded him. Hashem reproved him and said he should right away make Ari Miklat. And one says, no, the reason why it's spoken in harsh lashon, because when you're talking about the Torah, it has to be said in a harsh lashon. It says, it's mashma that Yeshua wrote these words in the Sefer Torah. The whole Torah was written to Moshe Rabbeinu, and think about it, about Rabbi Yehuda and Nechemiah. Rabbi Yehuda and Nechemiah are arguing. One says, Shmeina Psukim Hachreinim. The last 8 psukim were written to Moshe, meaning starting from the pasuk Vayam Hashem Moshe, that Moshe died over there. Since these psukim are describing the death of Moshe, it's obvious that Moshe didn't write it, so it was Yeshua who had written it. That's what it means. Those psukim Yeshua had written in the Torah. But according to the Mandiyam, that says the kavanah of the Pasha is Ari Miklat. That's what was said by Yeshua, written by Yeshua. What's the kavanah of the pasuk? Yeshua didn't write this in the Torah. It was Moshe that wrote about Ari Miklat. I mean, the Gemara Hakikam. This is what it means. That Yeshua had written over what was already written in the Torah, in his Sefer of Yeshua, the mitzvah of Ari Miklat, which was already written in the Torah. The Gemara brings about a third machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda and Tana. Another Tana Sefer by Sefer Torah Shetfari, that it was sewed together, the klap, the pishtan, with flax, with linen. One says the Sefer Torah is kasha, one says it's possible. According to one that says it's possible, because it's written in the Torah. The reasoning of mitzvahs tefillin, it says, in order that the Torah of Hashem should be in your mouth. And we compare the whole Torah to tefillin. Ma tefillin, halach l'meish m'sinai, just like tefillin is halach l'meish m'sinai. And it's l'tei from Megidon. We know it could only be sewed together with sinews. Avkel, so too, the Sefer Torah, yesh l'tei from beginning, you have to sew the parchment with sinews. But according to the other man, the that says a Sefer Torah that if you sewed it together with linen flax, it's good, it's kasha. So he says ki iskish to what we compare the Torah to tefillin. The teachers they don't write a Sefer Torah only a cloth that you could from skin of a behemoth tahira, from a behemoth that's mutter to eat, that's mutter to be beficha. So just like you can't write the pashas that tefillin only in a cloth, that's which is mutter beficha, that you're only such a behemoth that you're allowed to eat. So too, we learn out for a Sefer Torah. But again, to those dinim, which is not written in the Torah only, it was learned out from Allah Sinai, like sewing the cloth with sinews. Lo yiskish. We don't compare Sefer Torah to tefillin, and therefore you could sew the Sefer Tefillin with pishlim, with flax, with linen. Amarav, I have seen the tefillin of my uncle Rabbi Chia, the tefillin b'kitana, that was sewed with linen. And Allah does not like him. It says in the pasuk that somebody who kills b'shegeg and is exiled to Ari Miklat, he stays there till the death of the Kohen Gadol. So Zog the Gemara Echad Kohen Gadol Amashur B'Shaman Amishcha Saya Kohen Gadol, who was anointed with the oil that Moshe Rabbeinu had made, and that was the oil. That was a miracle with that oil. They used it to anoint the Kalim of the Mikdash and also to anoint the Kohen Gadol. And whenever they used it, it never diminished from the bottle till the Tkufa of Yeshayahu, who had foreseen the Churban, and he hid the oil. That was not anointed with the oil, but Menuba Begadim, he was appointed by weighing the 8 Begadim versus a regular kind of 4. And Sgan Kohen Gadol, who the Kohen Gadol couldn't serve as a Kohen Gadol because he became Tumah from a Tumaskari. So the Kohen Gadol, this Sgan Kohen Gadol took his place, and he was a Kohen Gadol till the original Kohen Gadol came back. So they're both considered Kohanim Gedolim. Machzin Hasaret Seyach. If the death, either one of them or all of them together, we're going to learn a machlekes. If they died, that's when the Reitzach returned to his house. Rabbi Yehuda adds that fourth Kohen Gadol, one who was anointed as a Kohen over the Milchama to tell the people, please don't become soft. You have to stay strong. And all the other needs that were of the Milchama that's mentioned in this Pasha, that the Kohen HaMashuach LeMilchama had responsibilities for. If he dies, Masa Eser Eitzeyach, then the Reitzach could go back home. Lafikach, and therefore, since the return of the Reitzach to his home is totally in the death of the Kahanim, so Ibaysen Kahanim, the mothers of the Kahanim Gedolim, is Hapslam Michil Chsus. They would give food, clothing, in order that those that were exiled in Gola shouldn't daven that the Kohen Gedolim should die. Their sons, who are Kohen Gedolim, should die. That's why they would feed them with food and clothing. From where do we know that the return of the Reitzach is totally in the death of the Kohen Gadol? Rav Kahana said because it says in the pasuk, the Yoshabad, Kohen Gadol, which that pasuk is referring to a Kohen HaMashiach. It says Hashamash Chayis B'Shem HaKodesh. So that's referring to one Kohen Gadol. Uksiv, and it says again. So there it speaks about that the Reitzach should return when the Kohen Gadol passes away. Hamashuach. Uksiv Kibeir Miklat Yesh Ad Meis HaKohen Gadol. And it says that the Reitzach Bishgaga should stay in the Miklat till the Kohen Gadol passes away. Another pasuk. So you have 3 psukim that speak about that the Reitzach Bishgaga returns back home through the death of a Kohen Gadol. So you see, which corresponds to the 3 different type of Kohanim that the Mishnah had mentioned. Rabbi Yehuda, how do you know even the Mashuach Milchama? So Rabbi Yehuda says there's a 4th pasuk. Siv Krach here, Lashul Hashaves Ba'aretz Ad Meis HaKohen, to turn to the dwelling place in the land by the death till the death of the Kohen Gadol. Meaning, from this pasuk we learn out that there's another additional Kohen that his death allows the Reitzach to return home, which is a Mashuach Milchama. What about the Tanakama? Why doesn't he learn this pasuk as a 4th Kohen Gadol? And when he went with like Siv Ha Gadol in the last pasuk, it says just Kohen is a raya Chad Mahanechu. He's referring to one of the three Kahanim that we already included in the previous psukim, and not a fourth Kohen Gadol. Lefikach, and we learned in the Mishnah, therefore, Shel Kahanim, the mothers of the Kahanim would give them food and clothing, so they shouldn't daven that their children or Kahanim Gedolim should die. And the Mishnah is mashma time, and the whole reason that the Kahanim Gedolim do not die, because they're not davening, the Ratzchim b'Sheigeg are not davening that they should die. Oh, Mitzalov, Maisei. But if they would daven, the Kohen Gadol would die. Like a bird jumps, like a bird flies. So too, the curse in vain will not come upon the Kohen Gadol. Because what did the Kohen Gadol sin with? There was this elder that said, I heard from the Shir of Rava that Shahaya, that he said that in the Shir, he said that the Kahanim Gedolim should have been Levak Shach Meis Hashem al Deyan. He should have prayed for Achmanis, for his generation, that there shouldn't be a Shvichas Damim, but Lei Bikshu. And he didn't pray. That's why it's not a klala in vain. It's not a curse in vain. Others learn that they would give, the mothers of the Kahanim would give food and clothing. In order, close the door, that they should daven for their kids, that they shouldn't die. So we find, according to this case, not only that the Ratzchim requested that it should be withheld from davening from the Kohen Gadol davening, only they had to daven that he should live. This is a different case. So they should daven that he should live in order that he should stay alive. So it comes out of time, and the reason why the Kohen Gadol didn't die is because the Metzalu, because the Ratzchim daven. Haloi Metzalu Maisi. But if they wouldn't daven that they should stay alive, then the Kohen Gadol would die. What should the Kohen Gadol have done? Why should he die if they don't daven? And over here we say the mashal, Tovia Chada v'Zigud Ningid. Tovia sinned, and Zigud testified as one ate in front of her papa. In the Gemara it says there, and her papa gave Malchus to Tovia because his Edis wasn't a good Edis. He was considered as Lashon Hara. And that's where we got the saying of Tovia Chada v'Zigud Ningid, and it started to be used as a mashal. Another mashal is Hasam Amnid, or like the mashal that they say in Eretz Yisrael, Shem Nasif. Shem got married to Dinah, Mavgaya Gazir, and Mavgaya was one of the people that lived in Shem from one of the people in the city, and the rest of the city they have to circumcise themselves and be in Sar while he's getting married and having his own pleasure. Same thing. Those that are in exile, are in Mikla, they killed, and the Kohen Gadol should get punished because of them. I heard from the Shir of Shmuel, the Kohen Gadol should have been Levak Shachmim al Deyan. They should have prayed for Rachmim from Hashem on their generation, like Bikshu, and the Kohen Gadol didn't. That's why he does have a sin. Like this story of this person that a lion had eaten him up at a distance of 3 passes from Rabbi Shimon and Levi. And Eliyahu did not meet with him and speak with him for 3 days. So the Gemara says over there, and so we see that a tzaddik, there's a taina against him for this, that he didn't daven to protect his generation. So too, the Kohen Gadol should have davened that there shouldn't be any shvichas damim in his generation. Therefore, he needs the tefillah of those that were exiled to save him from this punishment. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, killer's chacham afilu b'chinam hiba. Killer's a curse of a chacham, even if it was for no reason. It comes, if he gives a curse for no reason, it's still fulfilled. Says the Gemara, Menolam, from where do we know this? Says the Gemara, from the klala of that Achitev was killed. It says, Shabashar Shakara David Shisen, David HaMelech was searching for where to build the Beis HaMikdash. He knew that he's not going to be able to build it. And he searched with Shmuel, found the place, bought the property, and dug there. And when he dug there, he heard a baskel come out of a shard of earthenware saying that don't touch me because I'm the one that's protecting from the water from overflowing and flooding the world. And he picked up the shard, now the water started to overflow. And the Tahim, the depth of the ground was overflowing with water, and it was going to flood the whole world. David immediately say, Mao, what's the din? Are you allowed to lichtiv Hashem, achas write Hashem Amfesh on a piece of earthenware, umishta b'tahim in the lake haduchta, and throw it back into the Tahim, into the depth of the water, so that the water should quiet down? And nobody's answering. Like there was not one that answered him. So David said, whoever knows the halacha and he doesn't say the halacha, he should be choked in his throat. So Achitofel immediately made a kavachem on his own. Shalom bein ish li ish ta'abra teira shemi shmi shenichta b'kedushin yimachal hamayim. Madoch. When it comes to make peace between a husband and wife, the Torah says, my name should be written and erased on the water. So to save the whole world, like Kol Shekain, shouldn't it be mutter to erase Hashem's name? Amalei, Achitofel said back to David, Shadi, it's mutter. You could go ahead. Kosev, he wrote Hashem, Achasma Shadi Achitofel. David immediately wrote the Shem of Hashem on the earthenware, threw it into the Tahim, Nachas, V'kama Aduchtei, and it quieted down the water. Nevertheless, because David said this curse, even though Achitofel answered, he was cursed. Where do we see that? Achitofel joined Avshalom, the son of David Abel, to rebel against David, and he gave him advice to rebel right away, and he didn't listen. So Achitofel saw that it's not going to happen, that he's going to lose and he's going to get killed. So saddled his donkey, got up and he ran and went to his house, leader to his city, and he gave it like the tzavah to his household, to all the people, and in them and he choked himself. So you see, the klal of a chacham, even though he answered the shaila, it comes to fruition anyway. Rabbi Avo said, Kilas Chacham, Afil Atnai. Kilas Chacham, even if it was said on a condition, it's only going to come if you don't fulfill this. But if you fulfill the condition, it won't happen, or the reverse. Hiba, Manolan, how do we know that it's still going to happen? It says, from Eli, from the Kala that Eli cursed Shmuel, we find that Shmuel, when he was said in the Nevuah about the tragedy that will come upon Eli for the sins of his children, and it's for generations later that they will die young. The Kamalei, Eli said to Shmuel, he says, just like my children are not befitting, so it should be fulfilled in you. This klala was atnai if you're going to hold any part of the nevuah. V'afakav, even though this tnai wasn't fulfilled, meaning he told him everything. Shmuel told him all the words of the Nevi'as, he didn't hold back anything. Nevertheless, it says his children, Shmuel's children didn't follow his ways, so you see the curse came upon him, even though he didn't go against the Tanai. The Tanai of Eli, he told him everything. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, Nidui, a chayrim al Tanai, that's given on a condition, nevertheless, needs to be bottled, even though the Tanai wasn't in the sky. Where do we know this? Said Yehuda, from Yehuda, that he accepted upon himself, if he doesn't return B'Shalem, if he doesn't return Binyamin in peace from Mitzrayim, in wholeness, so then he'll be excommunicated from this and then the world to come. Yehuda said, if I don't bring him back, I should be a sinner for you all in all worlds, inside this world and inside the world to come. Even though he brought back Binyamin, it says, might receive. What is this that it says by the bracha that Moshe benched when he saw before his death? Yehuda Reuben should live al Yom, he shouldn't die. Why did Moshe put the bracha of Yehuda next to Reuben and not next Reuben next to Levi? Oh, Levi next to Reuben. Why did he start off with the bracha of Yehuda also with above? V'zois Yehuda, different than the brachas of the other shvatim. So, and the Gemara, Kolois Naboim Shana Shahay Yisov. I mean, all those 40 years that he went to Midbar, Atzmois Shal Yehuda Yimagul Golim Ba'arim. The bones of Yehuda were rolling in the coffin back and forth. Till Moshe got up and asked for Rachman from Hashem. Allah who caused that Reuven should admit to his sin? Yehuda. Because Yehuda admitted that he lived with Tamar. And when Reuben heard that Yehuda was admitted to his sin, he got up and he admitted to his sin that he changed the bed of Rachel's maid, Bilhah, and took Yaakov's bed and put it in Leah's. Yehuda, and that's what it means. Yehuda. There is a right that Yehuda's bones should be rolling in his coffin. In his chus, he caused that Reuben should admit his sin, and Reuben's bones are intact, and Yehuda's skeleton is not together. Shama Hashem kol Yehuda. Hashem heard and accepted the kol of Yehuda, all Ivrei l'shafa, and his bones, the bones of Yehuda were, meaning the skeleton of Yehuda, were put back intact. But they didn't allow him to enter into Yeshiva Shamayla. So then Moshe Rabbeinu continued, allow me to me, he says, Hashem listened to my tefillah, and Hashem listened to Moshe and brought him into the Yeshiva Shamayla. He didn't know how to go back and forth with his colleagues in arguing in Svaris. So Moshe continued and said that he should have the koich to argue with his colleagues. He didn't know how to answer the questions that the Chacham asked, and the halacha would never be like him. So Moshe Rabbeinu continued that he should have help with that as well. Zog the Gemara, and Taka, he was, and halacha came out even according to Yehuda as well. The Bnei Yeshiva asked the kasha, doesn't mean only if all the Kahanim die, that's when the Ritzeh goes back home, or perhaps or even one of the Kahanim die, the Ritzeh goes back. Toshma, come in here, and I'll answer you from the Mishnah. It says, if the Psak din of the Ritzeh to go to Golos was below Kohen Gadol without a Kohen Gadol, and he never gets to leave the Ari Mikla. Now, if you're going to say that any of the three Kahanim, if they die, singularly, one of them dies, he could return home. Let them be able to be returned by any of these other remaining Kahanim Gedalim. Says the Gemara, no, but the Lake is talking about that none of the three Kahanim are around, and that's what it means in the Mishnah that he can never return. When the Psak din of the Ritzeh to go to Golos, Meis HaKohen Gadol, and the Ritzeh didn't go yet to Golos. How do you say? He doesn't even go to Golos. But if before the Psak din the Kohen Gadol died, and they appointed another Kohen Gadol, and the Gemara din was by the second Kohen Gadol they appointed now. Then he returns only after the death of the second Kohen Gadol. If the Psak din was done without a Kohen Gadol, so too if a Kohen Gadol himself killed somebody b'shegeg, I'm sorry, or one who kills the Kohen Gadol b'shegeg, or the Kohen Gadol shaharek, or the Kohen Gadol himself killed somebody b'shegeg, he never gets to leave the Ari Miklot. So he doesn't go out of the Ari Miklot for anything. Mitzvah, not even to testify for Kiddush HaChidush. Money, not to testify for money issues. Nor for his nefashis. Even if the whole Klal Yisrael needs them needs him to save them from the enemies. Yisrael, even the top general like Yoav ben Tzruya, does not get to leave ever. The city of his refuge that he ran there. So it says, Sham, what does the Sham coming? Shama mean? Shama comes to tell us, Sham Tei, the Ras Dei should be his dwelling, Sham Tei, Misas Dei should be his death. Sham Tei for us should be his burials. The Mishnah Bait Shem Sha'ir Koiletes. Just like the city itself protects somebody who kills b'shegeg, and the Gil Adam cannot kill him. Kach Tchuma, so too in the boundary of the 2,000 amos around the city, Kaleb protects him, and even the relatives are not allowed to kill him, even if he's out of the city, but he's within the Tchuma of the city. That went out of the boundary. Gil Adam, and the Gil Adam, the relative found him. Rabbi Yisrael Hakili says, Mitzvah Yad Gil Adam. It's a mitzvah of the relative to kill him. Rishus b'yad kol adam, and it's only a rishus for any other person. Rishus b'yad Gil Adam. It's a rishus, not a mitzvah. It's a rishus for the Gil Adam, the relative, to kill the Reitzei B'shgoga. It's not a mitzvah. V'chol shabnei adam chayam malav. But any other person that would kill this Reitzei B'shgoga is chayav misa. Tell you what is the reason of this din that if the Kohen Gadol dies after the Gemar din of the Reitzei, and he didn't go to Golus yet, he doesn't go to Golus. He makes a kavachayim. Somebody who was already in Golus before the death of the Kohen Gadol, Yatsa Ashav, even though he's sitting in the Golus, and the Misa of the Kohen Gadol takes him out, Mishalei Golus, somebody who didn't even enter the Golus, he's not even sitting, you don't need to do an action to take him out, and he did Shalei, you kill him. Shouldn't it be for sure he shouldn't go to Golus? This, that he was in Golus, that is kapara, is a kapara. Forgiveness, so therefore, if the Kohen dies, okay, you had already a kapara hide like Golus, but this one who never went to Golus, was never forgiven. Midi Golus kapara after the Gemara. Midi Golus kapara is Golus a kapara for him? No, miskayin who the The miskayin is the part that forgives for him. It says if the Kohen Gadol died before the Psak Din, and only afterwards was Nigmadinai, and they appointed a second Kohen Gadol, and then there was a Gemar Din by the second Kohen Gadol, so he goes back home if that second Kohen Gadol was appointed dies. But what do we know that this new Kohen Gadol that was appointed after the death, but before the Psak Din, his death will atone for this person who killed another person while there was a different Kohen Gadol. It says in the Pasuk, Yosheba, that a Tzeiv should dwell in the year, that he should stay till the death of the Kohen Gadol, which he was anointed with the holy oil. Does the Tzeiv anoint the Kohen Gadol? You're saying he should dwell there till the Kohen Gadol, which he anointed, which the Tzeiv anointed. What do you mean the Tzeiv anointed? It means that the Kohen Gadol who was anointed in the days of the Tzeiach after being a Tzeiach. Why are we making it contingent in the Kohen that the Kohen is at fault, and when he dies, it's a kapara? What the Kohen Gadol do? If he wasn't even there by the Retzich, he wasn't there by the murdering, he was only there by the Psak Din. This Kohen Gadol should have been Levak Shachman Sheikh Din L'Schus. He should have davened that this guy should come out marital in the Psak. But like Bikshan, he didn't daven for him. We have a Messiah in Nigmadinai. If the Reitzeiach had a Psak Din for Galus, and he died, we bring his bones to the Yara Miklat. The Chsiv that the Lashul Shabbos, he should return in the ground till the meaning to the Yara Miklat, even till the Kohen dies. Kohen Gadol dies. What is the yeshiva? What kind of yeshiva is that? So we say we learn out from here that if the Reitzeiach died before he went to Golus, we take his bones and we bury it in the other mikvah. But we learn the Mesa Reitzeiach, if the Reitzeiach died before the Kohen Gadol, and so we brought the Reitzeiach into the Eir HaMiklat. But when the Kohen Gadol dies, by Lichin, we take from there Atzmaiso, the bones of the Reitzeiach. I'll give you a back to the kvarim of his fathers. The receive that it says V'achrim Meis Kohen Gadol Yashvar Reitzeiach Al Eretz HaChuzasa. He should be returned to the Eretz HaChuzasa. Ezeu Yeshiva. Shehi Eretz HaChalutza. What kind of yeshiva is it back in the Eretz of his inheritance? What does it mean? Eretz in the ground. What does that mean? In the ground. It means that if the Kohen Gadol died, then we take and his bones were brought in the time of that Kohen Gadol. He was gepaskin to go to Golos in the time of that Kohen Gadol, and that Kohen Gadol, and we buried his bones in the Ari Mikvah, and that Kohen Gadol dies. We can take out his bones and bury it together with his fathers back to the place where he was originally. Nigma Dinah, there was a psakdin for the Ritzach to go to Golos. And the Kohen Gadol became Eidos came to testify that he was possible for the Kehuna. Pligi Bud, Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. There's a machlekes between Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, Oima, Mesa, Kehuna. It's considered as the Kohen Gadol died. It's considered as the Kohen Gadol died, and he's a cholol. So that's only Mekama El Shad Ato. He was a Kohen Kasha, and now he died. So therefore, the Ritzeich could go back home. Chadaim a butler Kehuna. No, one says no. It's as if there was never a Kohen Gadol. Retroactively, there was never a Kohen Gadol at the time of Gemar Dinah, and he can never leave. Lema, should we say, beplukta the Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yeshua Kamifli, the argument of Achlekes Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yeshua. It's not that we learned in the Mishnah in Trumis. Ha Yemed Makiv Al Gamar Mizbeich. He was the Kohen was standing and be Makiv Kabbalah on the Mizbeich. But then Yeshua ben Gerushay ben Chalutza, and it became known that he's a Cholol. He's passed to the Kohuna. Rabbi Elazar Mekala Kabbalah Shehikah Psulim. Rabbi Elazar says all the kabbalas that he was makiv, even retroactively, he's going to be possible. Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Yeshua says no, the kabbalas are going to be kosher. Man the Oma Mesa, the one that says that the Mesa, meaning that it's considered the Kohen died, he says the psul was only chal from now. Rabbi Yeshua, he holds like Rabbi Yeshua, that he was mashal kabbalas of the Kohen till it became known that he's a apostle of Kohuna. Uman the Oma Batla, the one that says the Kohuna is Batla, passes the Kohen l'mafrei retroactively Rabbi Elazar, who passes all the kabbalas, even those that became before he was known to be pasul. So the Gemara argues and says no. Really, everybody holds that the Kohuna is batal. And the one that says Meis Kahuna surely holds like Rabbi Yeshua, not like Rabbi Elazar. Because Rabbi Elazar passes all the kabbanas retroactively. So for sure, with Sha'ar Yonim, like to return the Ritzach from Golos, Rabbi Elazar will say he was never a Kohen, so he can never return. It's the Kohena's battle. Keep pligi. Where was Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka arguing? I live with Rabbi Yeshua. That if Rabbi Yeshua was Masha, the Kohen, L'chol Nava, or he was Masha only for the kabbanis. Because Rabbi Yeshua, Taka wasn't Mavatlin retroactively, but was it only considered as a Kohen Gadol for the kabbanis, Kohen for the kabbanis, but otherwise he's not considered as a Kohen, or he's considered as a full-fledged Kohen? The one that says the Kohen is considered that he just died, holds Rabbi Yeshua, that just like Rabbi Yeshua is Masha, the kabbanis of this Kohen, whatever happened till now, so too with the Geir to Golus, the Kohen only becomes possible from here on, and therefore the Ritzeach could leave Golus because it's considered he died now, because only from here on he's no more Kohen Gadol. Man Batla, but according to the one that says the Kohuna was Batla, he holds like Rabbi Yeshua. He can tie Ad Kam like Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says that the Kabbanis are good retroactively. He said only with the Geir Hasim, only with the Geir to the Kabbanis. With that, we cannot go retroactively. See, it says when the to Shevet Levi Baruch Hashem Chayil Apol Yadav Teitza, except the will, except with willingly the Aveda, his Aveda in the Beis Hamikdash, and the pasuk says Afilu the kabbanis of Chalei Chalalim Shabai, even of those that were Chalalim, if they were Makos B'Shegi B'Terem before we knew that they were apostle, we should accept. But over here, when they gave to return the Ritzeach from Golos, I feel Rabbi Yeshua made that the Kohuna was battle, and it's like it was Nigma Dinah below Kohen Gadol. It's like there was a psak without a Kohen Gadol, because when they gave Sha'ar Dvarim, Rabbi Yeshua has made that the psul is chal even retroactively.